Yo, I kind of nailed that intro though. Yo, the timing on the end of that song was so crisp. This is a professional production. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Old Mood Podcast, episode 31. I am. Oh my God, I forgot to mute the music. It's fine. I am your host, Blue Squadron, joined as always by Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay Kuhn, VT, V before the T. I'm Awakening Musa main, and I do a lot of endgame PvE content such as Olin's the Dungeons, and I'm patiently waiting for Ulakita Part 2 and its horseshoes, and welcome to the Old Mood Podcast, episode 31.
31, indeed.
31.
All right. And we do not have Tiltus today. Instead, we are joined by our devilish new father over here, Pansy.
Oh. What's going on, everyone? Pansy here. You might have seen a few of my videos on YouTube, guides and stuff. I'm a casual gamer who enjoys video day by day. Do a little bit of life skilling, a little bit of grinding, trying to get into PvP, but pretty much do whatever I want in the game.
Right on. Yeah, so Pansy, you started out on YouTube, yeah?
Yeah. I think I started doing YouTube content back in 2019. A few videos, like 3 or 4 videos in Arcade, and then I switched over to BDO and probably early 2020, January 2020, and just been here since. I play the game as my main game, but I do take breaks in between, dabble in other MMORPGs, but for the most part, it's what I always come back to.
Okay, right on. Yeah. And how long? Okay, so you've done YouTube for years now, it sounds like. But like, how long have you been streaming on Twitch? Did you start right away, or did you?
Yeah, I think I started about a few months after I started doing BDO YouTube. Probably 3 months in, and I used to restream on YouTube and Twitch at the time, so I had a simultaneous audience, which was pretty nice, getting different perspectives, because I got a wider reach on YouTube with players from outside of the EU NA region, so it was an interesting experience. But yeah, I've been streaming since 2020 as well.
Okay, well, what class do you play? Well, okay, so what class did you start as, and what class are you playing today?
Oh, so I did play the game for a few months back in 2017. Back then, I started as an Awakened Ranger, but I didn't know about the whole Awakened system, so I enjoyed the pre-Awakened gameplay, and suddenly I'm like, wait a minute, this ain't my class. It's making me play a Glass Cannon melee. But when I started properly in 2020, I was a Mystic, and I stayed Mystic for well over a year. I had Striker as the second character, but I've played a bunch of other classes. I love the tag event. If anyone's been in my stream, they know I'm a serial tagger, and I've tried pretty much all the classes now, and I settled for Awakened Witch as the main grinder, tagged to my Succession Zerker, just for an extra bit of flexibility.
Yeah, right on. Okay. Dang. Okay. So wait. So you said you started as a Mystic in 2020, right? Is that when Mystic released?
Sir.
I'm forgetting.
No, she released
I think it was like 2018.
way before. Yeah, 2018.
Awaken, yeah. That's what
But I always love the water dragon, man. The aesthetics of it. I love those kind of particle effects, like the blue, the water, and ice sort of particle effects with like Nova and Meiwa. So like those are the kind of classes I always enjoyed. But you know, I did expand my interest in terms of play styles and stuff over the years. But that's one thing that's great about BDO. It's like the diversity of gameplay from the variety of classes we have. I don't think any other MMORPG gives us as much playstyle diversity as BDO does.
Okay, and and you said you got into PvP recently, and what made you want to get into PvP? Be honest.
I mean, listen, I always saw Blue Squadron stream, and everyone seemed to be having fun.
It's all right, the PayPal's in your inbox, big guy.
Thanks. No, but seriously though, like BDO always felt like, you know, it was always this perpetual grind. You're getting better gear. But what are you getting the gear for? I always felt that PvP was the pinnacle and the reason of gearing up. Otherwise, it's just for fun, right? I mean, all you'll do is grind a little bit faster, make a little bit more money, but what's that money going towards? So I always felt PvP was where I was headed. I was always like, you know, I was behind on gear, but they've done plenty of changes in the recent years, which reduced the barrier of entry for players to get into like Node Wars and Sieges. Like there's capped content for a variety of things. So I figured, hey, why am I wasting time now? Just get started. We'll figure it out, and we'll gear up along the way.
Right on.
Here I am.
Well, what's your gear now?
I'm at 714. Yeah.
Okay, I'm still the second highest on the podcast. We're fine. We're good. I'm still not the gear lead. Yes.
Wait, what are you at, Blue? What are you?
I'm 723 or so. That's because I blew up.
Okay.
Because I blew up my Debo.
You're
we would be higher, man. It's duo.
It's duo.
If we combine our gear, Blue, we might be able to reach Jay.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Jay's over here just eking out. He's like, if I get Ronoro's ring, the number will go by 2 more points.
Yeah. Well, when we get to our shoes, we're gonna get like easily 6 more gear scores.
This guy, dude. This guy,
right,
number up
for
good.
yourself, buddy.
We're getting pretty close to 800. Like someone in my chat calculated that if you just get all the meme gear score gear, we can get to like 788 or something crazy like that. It's we're almost there.
Yeah, in 7 months when Antor's shoes come out, you're gonna be able to do that. That's right. All right.
7 months. Don't say 7 months.
Well, with this current disaster, I can't believe that it's gonna be any sooner. So our first topic of the night is the SEA Crossplay Disaster that has unfolded over the last few days. Did either of you? I got a chance to catch it live, so I can talk a lot about it. But did either of you get a chance to catch it live?
No.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, it was a spectacle. It was.
Can you? I know everything about it, but for those who didn't look into it,
exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So
can you explain?
I actually I felt so bad for Enclave, and I forget who the other creator was that was helping him with it. They actually were doing a pretty good job, and the poor cameraman the whole time was catching strays when there wasn't really much that they could do. So essentially, the setup you had is you have this crossplay event with SEA, Korea, Japan, and the Taiwanese servers. Okay. So you have 4 different regions all fighting each other on the same node. Okay. And they have 4 nodes going on at the same time. So 16 total guilds, 1 from each region on each node. Does this make sense? Right.
Yep.
So, and so when the gun went off, the idea was it was supposed to be a free for all. And I just want to point out that everything went according to plan for the first 2 seconds. So they had it under control for the very first 2 seconds. So Taiwan, I suppose, just doesn't understand that you're supposed to start at the fort before Node War actually starts, and especially when you're representing the region. You know what I mean? You think you would take the Node War seriously. No, they took the base teleport in, and they spawned in, and their fort was already at 15% because because another guild had rode in from outside the zone and just turboed their fort right off the rip, and like their fort died instantaneously. But that wasn't even like, you thought that was funny. We're like, haha, okay, they're out in the first 50 seconds. It's over, right? They were gone in 50 seconds. The real bug came in when everyone started dying. You could only die one time. If you died a single time and you tried to respawn, it would respawn you with 1 HP and you would be unable to hit enemies. Across the whole thing. You have 1 life to make it happen. So what we were watching was in the first, I'm not joking, in the first 4 minutes, we saw like 6 guilds go down. Just like that. It was over. It was done.
Did they know though?
It was, of course. Well, no, I guarantee you that they knew, and they were just like, just make sure you don't die, guys. Just make sure you. I'm sure at that moment, that's what I would have been saying. It's like, okay, if we just bulldoze them, it's very important that we engage first, and we just bulldoze them with 200%, and then they can't get back up, right? So, and that's exactly what happened. They would just run through a base. The flame towers can't do anything to stop it, and the base would just die 100-0. We lost like 6 forts, like I said, in the first 4 minutes. It was insane. It was insane. And all the while, the chat is screaming, esports ready, esports ready, esports ready. I felt so bad for the poor CMGM team that was just taking all the heat on the backside of that. I was trying to help them out, but like at the end of the day, it was kind of a total disaster. And then the lag was so bad too. I don't know if you guys saw clips of the different lag and things. It was basically just a standard NA siege. in terms of overall lag.
that.
I'm not even memeing. Like we're over here first time.
First time?
Like we have the lag tech. See, we know you just super armor and throw damage, and then the kill feed will come through in 7 to 10 seconds. You know what I mean?
Just iframe, yeah.
Right, just iframe it. You'll be fine. But yeah, so KR is actually almost unreasonably upset about all of this. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on a cross-play event like this to be a total disaster. And then they came out with they deleted the VOD, obviously, but like it already happened. It's out there, and then other people streamed it. Right? It was like it was a mess. So people were talking all about it. So Jay came out and actually made an immediate apology stream. Like and we do not have a bozo stream very often. That's what I call them. That's just like a Lost Ark situation. With like the Lost Ark devs went live, like the 3 bozos, and they just like apologized for the game state, and then they messed that up. So they went live again, and then they apologized for the apology for the current, and they did this like 3 or 4 times. Well, Jay only went live once and apologized for like 6 different things, and then that went down, and then he said in a separate like clip that there would be a dev note about it, and that they would apologize, and they would explain what they were going to work on for the game. But like, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts on like a crossplay event kind of crashing and burning like this. Jay, I'll start with you here.
Well, we've seen a crossplay event before, right, with EU and Russia. Didn't that go like fairly okay?
Until Russia invaded Ukraine, it was going well, dude. Like,
we're not talking about that part of the.
Well, that's what canceled it. I feel like we can never get a crossplay event finished.
But I'm like speaking towards like the stability of the servers. Wasn't that okay? At least from what I saw, there was nothing too bad from that crossplay event. So I was kind of sort of expecting the same dealio with this Asian championship. So
I'd never
at least
seen...
Russia and EU have a shared landmass.
True.
That actually works to their disadvantage in this case. Because Putin literally, in order to save face, actually invaded another country so that he would avoid losing and taking that L.
Man, Node Wars
like,
IRL.
Yeah, Node Wars. Oh my god. No.
Sorry.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah, but
in terms of like the sea situation, I mean, they must have a lot more challenges than putting together, EU and Russia versus, all these SCA countries, into one region in terms of stability, player connection. And where did they actually host the server, by the way?
I don't know.
It was in Taiwan.
Taiwan?
No, I feel like it was in. Someone said it was Taiwan. No.
No, I thought that it started on EU. Oh, you mean for these? I think for EU versus.
For the sea, yeah.
Well, we'll do EU versus Russia. I think that half of the matches were EU, and then the other half were in Russia. To try to make it fair. Oh. Right. And like I thought it was actually going pretty well. EU basically won everything. Russia won on a CTG play in the very first. Like in the 2v2, guilds 2 and 3 from both regions fought each other, and like Russia literally just double CTG'd a fort and just pumped it. And like that was the end of that one. But like that was the only thing that Russia looked like that they were gonna win. The Russian server looked like they were gonna win in that tournament, because EU then went on to win the like the rank 1 fight, and then like they won the tournament. Like there was like an AOA exhibition that they did as well, and they won that as well. So and that was pretty cool. But like I'm not sure what they did for the servers, because like you said, those servers, like those are pretty close to one another. I wouldn't even expect that to lag very much. Right. So like the question
might
here
even be a better situation, because less guilds playing if they have a different server, then less lag in general.
Well, I mean, they did have 16 guilds playing at the same time.
No, I mean for the Russia and EU.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, for this one, I think it was just poorly executed in that, like, they could have alleviated a lot of this. I'm not sure who was sitting behind a desk that actually decided that, like, we can have 16 guilds fight at the same time. It'll be okay, right? These nodes are like Ash Forest. These are all 40, 50-man nodes, right? And if you're doing the math on that, that's a lot of players. Right, because you know that these guilds are 100% going to cap out. If you have 16 guilds capping out at 50 players apiece, that's like 800 players.
Yeah.
And that's if it's a 50-man cap. If it's more, it's even more than that, right? So like, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not really sure what they were thinking as far as like how this would work, because like if you look at NA, which probably has one of the more active node war in siege scenes of all the different regions, EU would also have a really active scene, but like we have like the big team fights, right? So like I would recommend that they look at our region, because like we have like the big 6v6s or even the 7v7s, and that's 14 guilds with less people, and it's still laggy. So like I'm not really sure what they were thinking on that.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a high profile event like this, I think they should have tested it, obviously. I mean, it's easy to say, but when you have these people coming in to represent their region, and if they said, hey, the day before everyone log in at this time, we're going to do a test, I think everyone would, at least a large majority of them would log in, and you know, they might be able to catch something beforehand and address it. I mean, those kind of steps really should be taken in a professional format if it's such a high profile event. If it was just something like, you know, a fun casual event, I mean, sure, you can say, hey, let's just wing it. But those guilds were going to come in blazing. Like, they would want to come in for a good fight and do their best, and to be stopped by technical issues and things like that, it's just not a good feeling.
You know what I do when I have internet issues? I turn it on and off. And maybe that's what they should have tried at the C servers. They should have turned off the router and turned it back on, you know?
Oh no.
Jay, next time I'm going to suggest that in Twitch chat.
It might, it
absolutely.
might work. For some reason, that's how the universe works. I don't know why. Just
yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely going to suggest that. But I'm also going to say something in response to Pansy. Like, Pansy, you mentioned playtesting. And again, I'm just going to playtest? We don't. But playtest?
I know it's a foreign topic.
Well,
it's worth exploring.
It is a foreign topic, but like, you're absolutely right. They should have, like, for big crossplay events like this, you have got to playtest to make sure that there isn't some game-breaking critical bug that is going to destroy the entire event, right? Like in this case, that bug just completely annihilated the entire event, and that was the end of it, right? So like. And I think that they're probably going to cancel it. Like, I think that moving forward, like, they haven't officially canceled it yet. As far as I'm aware, they said that they would wait and have an announcement. But, like, I think they very likely have to cancel it, right? Like what do you think their options are here? Like,
reschedule? Jay? I feel like they might just redo a rematch, maybe. Maybe this was the playtest, actually, you know? This was the so that they can actually host the real one in the future.
Oh no, they really should you know, go through with it. I mean, like, this is one of those things, if they executed it well, it could have gotten a lot of exposure outside of our own community, because it's very seldom any mmorpg tries to bring regions together. Like, you'll never see outside of, like, you know, BlizzCon, WoW's never going to try to pull these various regions together to go head to head in like RBGs or anything. So I think this was a very ambitious thing they tried, and you know, props to them to actually go for it. But they really should do their due diligence in terms of the testing and stuff, and they'd be surprised if they put out an open call from the community, or at least the people who are participating, to come in and try it out and test it off, you know, before the event. I think they'd get a good response. I think they really should consider it.
I think, honestly, the funniest thing about this whole thing to me, as someone that had almost no stake in it, but literally I stayed up to watch it. I watched the whole thing. But like, as someone that didn't have a stake in it at all, they're all complaining about lag, and the Koreans are like, "What is this? This is ridiculous. I was in iframe," and I'm just over first time. I just could not help it, dude. It's just too good. But like, I mean, this is the first time they've really addressed the fact that, okay, yeah, maybe we should probably do something about this.
Right.
And then, like, do you think that Jay responded appropriately? He had an emergency stream. Like, apparently in KR, this kind of blew up. This kind of exploded. Yeah, there's like boycotts going on.
Oh my God.
And stuff about the game and whatnot, and like spending pearls and whatnot, because apparently they were already upset about the state of Wusa and Megu just being objectively better classes than every other class in the game. And Jay, you would know this is a filthy flavor of the month enjoyer.
Whoa, he's awakened. Come on.
I'm not like the other girls. I'm not like the other girls.
I'm not like the other Wusas.
Yeah. But like they were already upset about the Megu and the Wusa and the PvE balance as it was. And then like they were already upset about PvP imbalance, and then they went and this happened. And so like apparently there's like boycotts and stuff going on, which prompted Jay's emergency. Do you think he reacted too quick, or do you think the dev note is definitely the way to go? Do you think they should do like an emergency, we should apologize immediately on this, or do you think they should wait and just do like a dev note? Pansy?
I think it would have been a much more powerful response if they took a few hours, found out what caused the issue, and said, hey, we discovered the cause of the issue, we're taking steps to address it, and here's what you guys can expect. We'll keep you updated and potentially reschedule, yada yada yada. I think that would have been a better way to go about it. I think they jumped the gun a little bit. Community is always going to be very angry, and the BDO community, we're very passionate about the game because unlike other MMORPGs, we spend an abnormal amount of time grinding in the game. Like if you look at WoW players and see how much playtime they have compared to ours, I think we'd have some of them beat. I mean, of course, that is an older game, but you know, the community is going to be passionate regardless. You can't always please everybody, and the negative, response is always going to be louder than the positive one. So I think they should have waited and tried to at least discover the issue and come back with some more concrete next steps.
Right. Jay, how do you feel they should have responded on this? This is inevitably going to happen, right? Like when you're running a gaming company, like, yeah, not everything is always going to go according to plan. You know, they can't get it right every time.
Yeah, no, apologizing is definitely a good thing. I think it would have been worse if they didn't say anything, right? So definitely, I agree with Pansy on all fronts that they should have taken more time to, analyze the situation and explain to players what had happened, and then, hopefully, they'll learn from these mistakes. Maybe this was a wake-up call, or so that they can, they understand like what their issue is with the game, and they can make it better for us in the future. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's my optimistic opinion. Hopefully, that's my copium about it, actually. So
yeah, I think it actually demonstrates just how much Perlibus cares about what the community thinks about their game. Right. I don't see that in other big gaming companies. Like Blizzard is just like, like there's calendars on Asmongold's stream in the background. It's like days since last fuck up, and they just reset it every week because like they've done something bad this week, and they just don't care, and they don't really ever address stuff like that unless it's like a really bad mess up. In this particular case, like I think that the fact that Jay responded that quickly tells me he was watching. As it happened. So like the board, everybody had to have been watching when it happened, which is a good thing. As a player, I look at that, I'm like, okay, well, at least they're watching and making sure that like there's definitely not a disconnect going on there. They saw something went wrong there. And it also shows me that they care very deeply about what the community, at least the Korean community, thinks about their game. Like I can also see that like some of that bleeds over from NA, but I guarantee you they get feedback instantly, right? From the Korean server. So like that, when they get blowback on something, it comes in hard because the community hits them very directly. But like I think that they did act a little bit too quickly. I think that they should have just okay, let's just shut this down. We'll cancel it for now, and we'll say that more details will be released at a later date. Let the dust settle, and then release a dev note about what you're gonna do. Right. I think that would have been the proper response. If you go live in an emergency situation, you end up apologizing for stuff that you're just throwing stuff out. And so like now I'm going to read off what Jay's official apology stream actually had. So he said, I'm sorry for the Asian Node War Championship problem. Obviously, he apologized for the event basically up front and said that they're going to do better next time. Then the second thing he said is that they're still discussing about the problem, but there's and trying to keep it going, but there's a high chance they're going to cancel it. And then they said that they're quickly going to work. They're quickly going to try to rework compensation and Node War benefits for guild members. Like after Node Wars, and I was like, dude, see, now you're going overboard. Like I feel like this is, I mean, yes, we're gonna take that. That's a W, but like, well, okay, all right, sounds good. And then he went into balancing about the game, like C content, not SEA, C as in like the ocean, content, character, like class balancing, grind spot balancing, PvP balancing, and how they're going to work on trying to balance all this. Like now all their efforts are going to be focused on this. And then they said that character PvE balancing is the top priority now at the company, and can be affected, and something about can be affected in PvP, but like PvE balance is like the thing that they're most concerned about at the moment, probably because again the KR outburst was just a little ridiculous. And then he said there will be commentary video about how they're going to do all of these things, and they're going to make a way to communicate with us about it via a video. So like again, I feel like they're almost overly about, they almost went like overboard, like it does show me like the overflow, like they care so much about what public opinion is on their game, that like they come out and they're just like, okay, we're sorry for literally everything, and we're going to change all this other stuff that isn't even associated with the event right now, right? Do you guys feel like PvE balance is that bad, excluding Wusa?
No, I think it's improved every year, man. It's gotten better and better. I mean, there are some outliers, in the upper limits as well as the lower, but for the most part, majority of the classes are pretty close to each other, and it changes depending on the spot. Some classes are more optimized for certain spots, certain grind spots, but for the most part, I felt it wasn't too far off. Not like to the point where you need to have that much of a backlash. Sure, Megu, Wusa, they came in a bit too hot in terms of performance, but everything else seemed like pretty decent state.
Yeah. Jay, how do you feel? You're the PvE lord, and you play Wusa.
Yes, sir.
You're one of the abusers.
I've been from the low end to the high end when it came to grinding in my playtime of 5 years, right? I played an Awakening Witch mainly from 2018 to 2022, and again, like most people can agree, Awakening Witch was not a very strong grinder back then, but I stuck with it because I just really enjoyed the play style. And I think a lot of people have these that mentality of like, if you're not first you're last kind of mentality. And when it came to like these classes where they're just they're not pulling like top end, but they're just they're pulling like 10% less, and that's immediately bad. That's trash them. I kind of like dislike that opinion, to be honest. I feel like if you're pulling 10% less trash, then you're still okay. For me, I think that maybe for like the min-maxers, that's not okay for them. They want to be the best of the best, and I think we can all agree. We can all relate to wanting the class we play to be the best it can be, right? But for me, I've been satisfied. I've been enjoying the game. I've just been chilling, to be honest. I think more people should be more focused on the things they can do with their class rather than they can't do with their class. I feel like more people would be happy with the game, happier with themselves if they focus on those things, focus on the important things, focus on the aspects of their class that they really love, rather than focusing on the aspects that they can't do with their class.
So Jay desperately trying to not let Wusa get nerfed. Pansy, you said you feel like PvE balance is in a decent spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten better. There was a time when there were outliers. Like, for how many years did Succession Striker dominate and other classes weren't doing well? They eventually brought everyone up to that level. And now there's a new benchmark they're aiming for, that's Succession Wusa. So, I'm sure they will get those buffs coming through pretty soon. We see them in global labs, and I never felt that it was to a point where I had to play Wusa. I mean, sure, you can make more money, but if you're not having fun playing, the class you enjoy, then what's the point of BDO? It just turns into a chore and a hamster wheel where you're just spinning, making silver, making silver, making silver. But you have to enjoy the road along the way. But in terms of PvE, I think they were in a decent state. I mean, there were some classes which definitely need help, but it wasn't to a point where half the classes were unbalanced or something.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Okay, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, and I say this frequently. I want to see him just shake up the snow globe, if I'm being honest. We have Wusa that's too strong. Nerf the Wusa down if you have to, sure. But, like, just give every class, I don't know, something. Either give us a rework, a new spec, like really put like add a skill on every class, right? Shake it up and make it interesting, right? Like I think it's a hot take to be like, oh, we're gonna buff 22 classes. No, just change all 26 of the classes, like so abruptly that everything seems OP or underbalanced at any given time, and then just let the dust settle, and then as the dust settles, you just nerf stuff down. Right, so do a big change and then just start nerfing stuff. Boom, 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 until everything seems to be in line.
For some reason, they hate nerfing. They want to always buff everything else, but
because
I feel like
buffs are positive PR, Pansy. This goes back to my earlier point. No, but like this goes back to my earlier point about like they care so much about what the public and like what their community thinks about their game that they don't even want the negative pressure that like nerfs on the class will bring, right? Because if you say the word nerf any class, there is immediately going to be backlash from the community. But if you say buffs, nobody really cares. That's a good word. Nobody cares. It doesn't even matter. Like they buffed Zerker, and all the only blowback they got were from NA going LOL. You know what I mean? Like this is a joke. Like
well, one thing is like, sorry to interrupt, but whenever they buff, they're just doing straight number buffs for the most part. They never change the mechanical play of the class, like except during the reworks. Ever since the reworks are done and they're just doing buffs, they're not changing anything mechanically to address the underlying issue of certain classes. It's not just doing more damage in PvE, you know?
Right. No, I agree. Like again, I don't know. Like their solution to everything is always just buff because again, that's positive PR, and then like their game scales like super, like the silver inflation kind of gets. I don't know that I feel like they make more problems for themselves because they care almost too much about what people think. I didn't even really think, if I'm being honest, I didn't really think that the crossplay event was all that big of a disaster, but I'm not in that region, to be fair. If it was like NA versus EU and this happened, let's be honest, there would be riots in the street. It would be pitchforks at the ready. People would be upset. People are just flinking monkey poop at each other from both sides. It would be actually just obnoxious, right? It would be obnoxious. So like, I get it why they're upset, but like the fact that they're talking about the game as a whole, I actually think the game state as a whole is in a decent spot. We're just we're waiting. Yes, this was a disaster, but what we're all waiting for is the Calpheon ball. And if the Calpheon ball goes well, I think we'll be okay. And I think what Jay is trying to do, he's trying to do that classic meme where like just a bunch of water coming out of the tank and he just slaps the band-aid fix on there until he gets until we can get to the Calpheon ball. And then the player base is again big happy again because he's just gonna hand away Jay's hammer. And that's all.
If they can do what they did in Heidel Ball and then do it even better on the Calpheon Ball, I think it might, you know, that's I think that's the direction they should go.
Now,
just do better than the last one. That's a good.
Just do better than the last one.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at their perspective, and I might not have all the answer or all the details for this, but you know, in the summer they had a really big event where you know they released a new expansion, a lot of new players came in, and they gave out free dream horses, and they were on a high. Their player numbers were through the roof, and over time, over the next few months, they started tapering down, and all of a sudden they did some controversial changes that a lot of players didn't like, and negative opinions are mounting. So on top of all of that, then this goes wrong. I think there's a lot of pressure behind the scene, and they started panicking. I mean, we don't know to what extent that's going to affect them or what their perspective is, but you know, do you think that had a big effect in their response right there?
I think it absolutely did. I think the bigger. Okay, so. All right, well, last question before we move on to our next topic here. The next question is, well, one, I don't want to give them too hard of a time about this because then they might not do crossplay anymore. That's what I'm biggest scared of. They're just going to take away the toy. And I've been waiting for that toy to come to North America so that I can make content off of it for the last 3 years. Any sort of crossplay involving North America would be juiced, and I would love it. So I hope that they continue to do this stuff in the future. My question to you guys is, seeing how much of a disaster both of the past two crossplays have been, now RU versus EU, you could argue, okay, that's nothing on Perlibus's shoulders, and that's true, but as much of a disaster as this one has been, do you think they should do another crossplay event in the next 6 months? Jay, I'll start with you.
Yes, I think I think Purelibus is brave for trying out these new things, right? And obviously like not everything is going to go perfect. No company is perfect, but I like that their courage to try something new, try something that no other like like I don't think there's any other MMOs that really do crossplay like this before. Maybe this is the like one of the like first big ones out there trying this out, and it it didn't go so well, but hey, that's how what's that saying, like you can't learn to walk if you never you can't learn how to get up if you never fall down, right? I feel like this is kind of like that situation where they're trying these out, and then the next time they'll learn from their mistakes, and then hopefully the vision that they're trying to do comes to us players, so
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And Pansy?
Yeah, they should definitely try it again, but scale it. I mean, start out small. Just do a few 1v1s, maybe a few 3v3s, small tournaments, and then scale the infrastructure. I'm not sure what the issue was that caused a lot of the problems in this last event, but, I come from a software and technical background. Test, find it before it goes to production, so you got to try it out in a smaller scale and then ramp it up slowly. I think they probably thought, hey, we've done this before, we know what we're doing, but of course it didn't go as according to plan. But I definitely like them to keep doing these things because it's something for the community to look forward to and enjoy. And if it's executed right, if it's executed properly, I think it could be a regular and entertaining event for the community. But for the most part, it's all in the execution, man. Like, the negative press is always going to be a lot louder than the positive, but I think if they can get it right, it would be worth it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, so we do want to touch on something that Jay brought up, which I thought was really interesting because it has certain implications. And I know the community's probably a little excited to talk about it too. And this is the idea of having effects coming from your cosmetic items that you might buy from like the Pearl Shop. So from skins and stuff like this, or even skin, I call them skins, but outfits that you might even get in game, like the Orzeka set, right? We've only really ever seen one outfit, maybe two. There might be a Winterland outfit that gives your some sort of snow effect. But like, I think there's only one outfit in the game that currently gives your ultimate effect, like bat animations, right? Isn't that like the Ramhorn outfit gives your...
So there one in particular that really comes to mind in the Shy community is the Twinkle Star outfit for Shy. It literally changes the entire color palette of all of your abilities from this like green and blue, windy, foresty, naturey aesthetic to this like gold and pink cherry blossom kind of aesthetic with her abilities. And I feel like, if I had something like that for my class, I feel like there would be a lot of people on board. Now, recently, one of my viewers showed me something really cool. The bloody outfit for I believe it was the bloody outfit. It was one of the Halloween outfits, but they showed me a clip that the Wusa and Megu Awakening 100% had like these bad effects. So like they're very capable of implementing additional and alternative effects for classes, and I honestly feel like the devs are sleeping on a gold mine here.
Dude,
like to be honest, like whenever
actual piles of money. I'm like actually sleeping on piles of money.
Yeah, whenever I bring up the topic of cosmetic effects to chat, they always say like they would love something like this for their class. Like if I could make my witch's lightning effects like a golden color or something, I would be swiping so fast for that. And I feel like a lot of people would be as well. Like even super color swaps would maybe a thing. So there's this one little game. I don't know if you've played it. It's from this small indie company. It's something about the Legends of the League or something like that. But they have these like ultimate skins and like legendary skins.
He was gonna say that.
I feel like they could do something similar where we have these more like really interesting skins that would change your skill effects or be more dynamic, like they would evolve or something like that. I don't know. Same thing with there's another game called Path of Exile that does this really well. They completely changed the abilities. Now imagine, let's say how like Witch and Wizard Awakening, Wizard is fire and ice and Witch is earth and lightning. What if they had their own sort of costumes or effects that they could swap it, so my Witch would have fire and ice effects for her abilities and the Wizard would have earth and lightning effects. I feel like those would be really cool ideas as well, inspired from Path of Exile with their sort of skill skin effects.
Oh, dude.
How they would go about implementing this. I don't had a couple of ideas. Again, you remember they had I think in the Heidel Ball, didn't they have like the life skill equipment window? I don't think we got that yet, but maybe they could have something similar as like a cosmetic equipment window, and then all your costumes and all your skill effect things that you want to add would be going into that UI. So yeah, I think it would be a really cool thing. And if they were going to monetize the game, I think this would be the correct and right direction and cool direction to take it. So
yeah, I think that like okay, so maybe not like getting witch, fire, and water.
That's just an
effects.
example.
But like you give if you gave witch, I don't know, like star effects, you know what I mean, or just change the
like
color
effects.
Change the color of the fire that wizard has, make it a blue fire, right? Or make it like orange fire or whatever, you know what I mean, like that. Again, this is just a gold mine. Now, they'd have to do this carefully. They'd have to do like one skin per class, but be careful what you wish for. Because we've all gotten close to... Okay, when I started BDO, I was like, $30 for an outfit? You're crazy. Right? You're crazy. But over time, you get used to it because they shove it down your throat. So like you need to understand that in League they did the same thing, because I remember when the very first ultimate skins were released for League. So like originally skins were only like, I don't know, 10 or 15 bucks, and then the first ultimate skin was like 30 or 40 bucks. So you're talking about a little over 2 times as much money. And for the effort that they're going to put in, I mean, look at the Carrack, right? The Carrack skins have custom effects per thing, and you can't even dye them. Can't even dye them, but they have custom effects, right? $65 per skin, right? $65. Are you guys prepared to spend $70 an outfit? Because that's probably what it's going to be for these ultimate skins, and they're probably all going to come out with one for every class. Or like, honestly, what they're probably going to do, let's be realistic, they're going to come out with, for the most popular classes, they're going to come out with one. Then they're going to start to trickle release the shittier classes, right? And then they're going to skip Tamer and Maywa altogether, and then they're going to give Wusa another skin again, right? They're just going to give Dark Knight another skin again. So like, man, I think it would be amazing. I think Jay's right. I think they're sleeping on a gold mine. Some people would say that it would increase lag in PvP. I actually don't think the lag would be that big of a deal. Most people have other people's effect off in large scale PvP. Anyway.
They just haven't turned it off in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Potato mode.
Yeah, nobody's gonna care in large scale. But in like small scale and 1v1s, again, I think there might be like some things like, oh, they got to widen that animation, or they got to make that more obvious. But like, I'm willing to we will take that bullet. You know what I mean? We'll take that hit. Like, I would love that. I would throw money into Scream. Honestly, if Jay just gave me a free one so that I could show everyone else how cool the skin was, I think Jay-kun would also be okay with giving the partners all a free skin. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But Pansy, how do you feel? How do you feel about these potential skins?
I mean, I would love those kind of things, but they could start it off simple. They don't have to go all in and make new class animations. They could start off with just like a weapon series. They've never done that. They've done costume series, but never just the weapons. And if they came out with the weapons, a theme, let's say it's Halloween, Halloween weapons, where everyone has some, pumpkin, bats and vampiric looking weapons, and have a custom glow effect on it, which we can all obviously turn off. We turn off the particle effects all the time. We have Godride and Blackstar with their own custom particle effects at Penn, which look really cool. I think they can do something like that with weapons and release a series, every time there's a big event coming up, Halloween or, Christmas or summer's coming. They can come out with a series.
Yeah, it would be so free. Okay, here's a question. So obviously, we're all on board with that idea. Would you rather, if they come out at the Calpheon Ball and they're like, okay, would you rather them say, okay, we're coming out with this new line of skins, they're ultimate skins, they're $70 a piece, but all of your effects are changed, and like this is what they look like? Or would you rather have emotes and sprays? Like little emotes that come up like in character actions, right? Because emotes, sprays, character actions, and dancing would all come out together, I feel like. So which one would you rather have? Because you don't get both. You don't get Jay, which one would you rather have? Both? Shut up, Jay.
As a man of culture, I'd lean towards the dances. Thanks.
He wants to watch his mystic pole dance like no one else has watched a pole dance.
Hey, she's classy, all right. She be doing the salsa.
The salsa.
Oh, God, dude, I would pay good money for that. I'm not gonna lie. So Jay, do you think skins, emotes, or dance?
Skins.
Really?
More so on skinned. Yeah, I mean, if they, you know what they could do, they could make some of the classes, they could put them all in like a K-pop band, and then they could promote it through like a music video or something. You know?
Oh, I think someone,
and they could,
I've heard of that before.
They've heard of it. Really? What? That's my
God, dude, I need an adult, man. Although I would watch the shit out of that. I would watch it so. I don't even care what characters it is, dude. Shameless. Okay, so Jay, you think skins. Pansy, you'd rather have the emotes with the dances and stuff. I would rather have emotes and dances as well, mainly because one, like Pansy said, I'm a man of culture. And two,
amen.
Two, I feel like the skins would just be trickle released so badly that like we would get to the end of the next year and the witch would still not have her skin. Like I think that like I think that those probably take a really long time to develop just because the animations would be difficult, right? You'd have to do Succession and Awakening and make like the animations really cool for both. Or maybe you'd have to have a skin for Succession and a skin for that changes the Awakening effects, right? And then what aspect of the outfit changes the effect? Is it because like
could be the weapon. They can make the weapon the thing that triggers the
and then that plays
change.
into well then everybody is only gonna buy the weapon then.
Don't let them.
Okay, no, I've got it. $70 weapons, not even outfits, just $70 weapons. They change it. Put me on the development
does it
team.
glow?
I will make them so much money. I will make them so much money. Like $70 weapons, we would buy it. I'm not joking. People would buy it. $70 weapons that change to your if witches lightning changed to like green or something, right? And then I got like special effects and stuff, we would still buy it. 100%.
So when I was talking about the cosmetic window, that's what I was thinking as well. We could buy some sort of like equipping, like I don't know, some sort of like I don't know item like an essence or something. When you equip it, it would change that skill. So it would be just tied to like a separate equipment slot or whatever in the cosmetic thing. Because that's how like Path of Exile does. I don't know if you've ever played Path of Exile.
No. Explain it to me.
But so they would basically equip it on the skill. Does that make sense? Like you're equipping something on the skill to change the skin of the skill or like the effect of the skill.
Okay.
Is that still confusing?
No, I mean that kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. Would it only change like one skill though? Because I'm not paying $70 to change one skill.
Well, it could be a group of skills, or again, they could make it, cheap and individual. So you don't have, you can like customize the effect. You can have, my Voltaic has these galaxy effects. Oh, but my Thunderstorm has these gold lightning effects. You could make it even more variation in that way for the player. If they just made it like individual and cheaper in that way instead of like a whole set,
Jay, are you telling me they could have made more money without messing with Cron Stones?
Get out.
Yes.
Yeah. They the best part about this whole thing is they release something like this, and for the first like 8 months, it's going to be not sellable on the Central Marketplace. So like
they
the
can
only
make it
way
like
to get
a
it,
grindable thing. Like what if there was like a quest line, like a unique quest line for each class, and they would go through that quest line. It doesn't have to be a quest line. I'm just going to give an example. Maybe they grind it out like a treasure. I don't know, and then that would change their effects. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Realistic.
I was thinking.
Okay, go ahead.
If they had like a weapon series, right? Like they could add some growth to it. Like you buy it, it's at stage 1. You kill 10,000 monsters, it's at stage 2. 100,000, stage 3, and you have to do that every month for the glow effect to be more prominent or something, or different, more impressive. Like they could add content to it.
You are crazy.
Content.
100 player kills.
No.
100 player kills.
And have to do it every month. You're nuts. You're actually nuts. There is no way I am doing that. I'm still gonna pay the money and pretend to, but
I mean, it's like an hour a day.
No, Pansy, I said no.
Okay.
I'm not doing an hour a day.
Oh.
I spent $70.
All right, Blue. You don't have to
Fictional
grind.
money.
You don't have to grind.
Of imaginary money on this in our made-up world. I have spent $70 on this. Just give me the effects. This is kind of like when they have events and they make you actually go do stuff in order to get the really good reward. It's like really frustrating. When like I like the events where I just hit Y and I just hit the collect button.
Yep.
So, what classes do you think they should come out with? Because this is inevitable, right? This is definitely going to happen eventually. We've already seen it with some of the other outfits, and people saying the Gloomy Fox and then the Ramhorn Witch outfits, etc., have like bats coming out of their skills. But honestly, that's kind of underwhelming. I'd like to see the skill effect itself like change, right? Like for Witch, for example, you could have when they Fisher waved, you know how the boulders all come out of the ground? It could be like zombies reaching up from the grave and then like exploding.
Cool.
Wouldn't that be sick?
Yeah.
Mushroom cloud for meteor.
Right? It would be super
Makes
sick.
sense.
And I would buy the crud out of it. You know what I mean? But what classes do you think they should come out with first for something like this?
Personally, I'd
Shy.
like to see.
Put the
They
gun
already
down.
got one.
Jay, if Shy gets anything first, I'm gonna riot in the street. Do you understand? They got
can play
dancing.
music?
They can play the music. They can do all the cool stuff that all the rest of us don't get to do.
They ride a skateboard.
Yeah, they can ride an alpaca. That guy's up to no good.
A flying donkey once in a while. Oh man, I would like to see it for like melee classes and like just in general, like weapon effects, but additional glow and stuff. Like imagine like a striker or mystic with lightning coming out of their gauntlets, or you know, a glowing sword like, or an awakening warrior, because it's such a prominent weapon and it's so visible. Like I think it'd look really cool. So those would be my picks.
Okay, Jay.
Well, I mean, the classes that I play, you know, I I think most people will say that they want it for the class they play, and I play Witch and Wusa and Shy, so those 3 classes.
I don't think that Wusa is getting shit. If they do this, so the problem here is that if they give, it's a sibling problem. You can't just buy one sibling an iPod Touch and then get the other sibling socks for Christmas. Only my parents did that, right? Like, you have to get them both something. So, like, if you give Wusa something, they have to also give it to Megu. That is how it works.
Okay.
Right? That is how it works. And so, like, I don't think because they have to do twice as much work, I don't think that they're going to do Wusa Megu up front, unless it's just Wusa Megu, which will honestly have people so upset. If they only gave it to Wusa Megu and then there was, like, 3 months where we didn't get anything else for any other, oh my gosh, dude, KR would actually just quit. There's just no way. You know what I mean?
They'd go back to Lost Ark.
No, they won't. It's dead. I think realistically they'd probably give it to Dark Knight first. Dark Knight's always been the golden child, man.
Yep.
Who was the very first class of BDO? Like, who were the first classes of BDO actually?
There were like 6 or 8, right?
Witch
Wizard, Warrior, Valk, Tamer,
Yep.
Sork, Ranger.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
Maybe they could start with
Berserker?
those.
Berserker. Yeah.
I'm okay with it if they start with us. I am okay with those decisions. Mainly just the witch one. I'm okay with that one. I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're gonna do it for the classes that are newer, just because it's easier. I think because of the way their development team has kind of like, so when it started, there are more skills on like Warrior Valkyrie have like more skills, more technical stuff, just little nuances on everything, right? Instead of messing with something like that, you mess with Megu, who, like, you know, the average Megu player is like drooling out of their mouth while they've only got like 6 fingers on the keyboard. They don't care, right? So like and at least for Succession Megu, so like it's easier to code those skills. It's easier to do those because like they're cleaner. So it'd be easier to change those. So it's probably more likely that they do something like Dracania. If I had to guess, Dracania is one of their most popular classes, and they have to know that. Like,
Yeah.
Really? Oh.
because the thematically they nailed it with Dracania, right? They nailed it with Dracania more than they've nailed it with probably any other class. Even Wus and Megu were great theming and everything, but people care less about that Eastern culture than they do about dragons in a fantasy game. Okay, it's just that simple. Like there are way more people that like dragons, and like Dracania is the dragon thematic. Like that's, and they killed it, bro. Like you really feel like you can fly, you know, like you capture, like in Succession, you capture like the strength and like durability of the dragon, and then in Awakening you get like the fire breathing and the flight, you know what I mean? So like I think they really nailed that, and I think that's why people actually look, Dracania is one of their biggest sellers now, in terms of like people looking at the game like, oh, that looks really cool, right? Because that's what nets people in originally. So I think Dracania would probably be a first
the fantasy aesthetics,
right? Right.
Yeah,
So
I think Dark Knight was also one of their really popular classes, if I'm not mistaken.
Dark Knight has always been their queen. And
they made a statue. Didn't Alec was showing off his statue the other time, remember?
You're goddamn right they did.
Or she gets a statue.
Dude, where are the rest of the statues? Where is our merch? We want to spend money on the game that isn't just mindless outfits. Let me buy some thick, respectful, of course, witch mouse pad. Okay, like let me get some, like, let me get like a poster. Yeah, let me get like a poster. You know what I mean? Where's the body pillow of the lawn that I just started playing? You know, can I get my character in print on the pillow? Is that possible? You know?
I think whoever came up with that statue was a DK main, and they were like, got what I wanted. I'm out.
Yeah, man. They really haven't come out with like almost any merch at all.
They could really make so much more money, man.
They could make a tremendous amount of money. It took Riot, though. It took Riot years to try to monetize their game, and they still don't do a super great job of monetizing their game outside of, you know, what's going on inside or in the game. Like, they've gotten a lot better in recent past. And I think they realized, man, this is a crazy untapped market. You know what I mean? Because people get really attached to these champions, but like, people get really attached to their champion in League, and there's hundreds of League champions. Look at BDO. You spend thousands of hours playing your class. We are very attached to our classes. We feel very entitled. Honestly, when you're watching a tournament, what keeps you watching the tournament? Like, most of the time you don't know the players involved in like the best in guild tournament, right? And you maybe not know the guilds involved either, but they're playing Mystic. But they're playing but they're playing, you know, like, but you see a Musa, right? And you're like, oh, let's go, we're rooting for the Musa, right? Like there's that like sense of like class, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Camaraderie,
loyalty, probably. That class loyalty that I think a lot of people, I would buy like a witch headset, or I would buy, maybe not, because it's probably garbage most of the time. Like I bought a StarCraft 2 keyboard back then. It was the Marauder keyboard. It was like the StarCraft 2 worst keyboard I ever owned. It probably didn't help that I slammed it against the desk about 35 times in a row. I actually picked it up, I turned it sideways like this, and then I slammed it against the desk like 85 times in a row. It was broken, but it wasn't working well before that, so it's not my fault. It broke of its own accord, and then I made sure it was broken. But like there's like a major untapped market for both market in the game and out of the game, and I think that their sales team has done a terrible job the last 2 or 3 years. It's just like, oh, here's a new outfit, okay, here's another skin, and that's it. There's no variation. There's no, hey, here's this new way to interact with the world around you, but you have to, and honestly, all of this could be Pearl monetized and no one would give a shit. If you gave us emotes and stuff that were only monetized in game, right? That you could only get through spending money, no one would care.
Cosmetics, man.
We would spend the money. So, okay, we should probably go with closing thoughts at this time here. Jay, I'm going to let you go first. I assume you want to talk about your cosmetic idea here.
Closing thoughts.
If you could have one thing, for the Calpheon Ball that was going to be monetized Pearl Shop item. One thing.
Monetized Pearl Shop items. Definitely skill changing effects. 100%.
On which class? It can only be one.
It can only be one.
It can only be one.
Well, you know, it's gonna be my witch. Like I've been super attached to my witch. So
I'm on board with that too.
I'm gonna, if they do that, I might actually roll back to witch. Like I feel like when
goddamn
new
right you would.
costumes come out and new skill effects come out or whatever, right? For like in League too, right? I think when an awesome skin for a League champion comes out, you want to play that class. And same thing for me. Like if there's something really cool came out for a class that I really adored for a long time that I rolled off of, I'm rolling back. So.
Right
Yeah,
on.
hello, hi, I'm JQ VT, V before the T.
You're so stupid.
Are we doing outros right now?
Yeah,
I do a lot of
yeah.
outro. I've been playing the game for about 5 years. I'm happy to welcome new players and answer questions about the game. And you can find me over at twitch.tv/JQVT before the T.
All right. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that sentiment. It should be the witch.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pansy, you want to give us an outro? Give yourself a shout out. Tell people what your content's about and what's coming up in the future here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it was great talking to you guys. This was super fun, and
you too.
I think PA needs to be taking notes here. We came up with gold mines for them. Okay, we're doing their job.
Literally,
But,
though.
hey. I wonder what Koreans are saying, the KR community. I wonder what kind of ideas they're coming out with.
The same
listening
stuff.
to wait, he doesn't
Anyway, hey guys, I'm Pansy. You can find me at YouTube at I'm Pansy, or over here on Twitch at twitch.tv/I'm Pansy. I'm a bit irregular right now. Had a nice event IRL, so I haven't been streaming much this past week, but we'll get back to a regular schedule soon and hopefully have more content coming for you guys.
Right on. Amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Awesome. And I am Blue Squadron. There's always stuff happening on my channel. There's 2 new YouTube videos typically every single day. There's usually at least 1 BDO video and then 1 other video. Today, we had the Elden Ring highlight video drop for the first time, and then we've got more highlight videos and my whole Elden Ring playthrough is going to get posted as well. We also just dropped our Awakening Witch Guide, so we just dropped that right over the top of Jay's Awakening Witch Guide. This is like the updated 2.0 version. I'm sorry, Jay. But yeah, so we just dropped our Awakening Witch Guide there, so make sure you guys check that out. Make sure you guys check out the Discord. It is a lovely community where I hang out and voice every day. So if you guys want to hang out and voice with me, it's a good time. There's also Twitter and Instagram, which I'm always updating with reels and shorts and TikToks and all kinds of stuff. So make sure you guys check me out. From all of us here at the Old Moon Podcast, you guys have a great rest of your week.